New texts have been released as part of Dominion's $1.6 billion defamation lawsuit against Fox News. They show some of the clearest indications yet that people inside the network had serious doubts and misgivings about the election fraud lies that were being openly touted on the network. A 2021 email reveals that the Fox Corporation chairman, Rupert Murdoch, conceded that two of his top hosts possibly, quote, went too far with the election denialism after Trump's loss. Though Murdoch himself also once said, according to these new texts, that he hoped Trump would win Arizona even after Fox's own decision desk, which makes those election calls, was the first to call it for President Biden. Murdoch saying at the time, quote, he was still hoping for AZ to prove them wrong. CNN's Paula Reed joins us now. Paula, these texts are pretty incredible when you look through what they show, what they were saying, behind the scenes compared to what we saw publicly.
Exactly, Caitlin. Quite the contrast. And all of this comes from these hundreds of pages of previously unreleased documents that we got last night. But clearly, some of the most damning revelations in these documents come from Fox chairman Rupert Murdoch. You see here, he is repeatedly denying conspiracy theories about Dominion voting systems that his own network was promoting.
New internal communications from some of Fox News' most prominent figures show concerns and misgivings some had about then-President Donald Trump's claims of election fraud and the company's handling of the 2020 election results. According to court documents, host Tucker Carlson texted a producer on January 4th, 2021, just 2 days before the Capitol attack. "We are very, very close to being able to ignore Trump most nights." The conversation continues. Referring to Trump, Carlson says, "I hate him passionately. I can't handle much more of this." The private communications from Carlson are a sharp contrast to his public support for the former president, as seen on his program that night.
The president, as you may have heard, believes the election was stolen from him. Georgia's Secretary of State, whose job it is to oversee elections, disagrees. You can listen to the call yourself. It's online, and you can make up your own mind about who's right on that question. And by the way, if you have time, you ought to do that.
The text messages are part of a trove of documents and communications released Tuesday from Dominion Voting Systems' $1.6 billion defamation lawsuit against the right-wing network. Fox responding to the latest document release in part saying Dominion has been caught red-handed using more distortions and misinformation in their PR campaign to smear Fox News and trample on free speech and freedom of the press. Dominion saying in a statement that emails, texts, and deposition testimony speak for themselves. The communications reveal Fox Corporation Chairman Rupert Murdoch was furious Fox News called the 2020 election for Biden and wrote in an email to the former New York Post editor-in-chief, "CNN declares, and Fox coming in minutes. I hate our decision desk people and pollsters, some of the same people, I think, just for the hell of it, still praying for Arizona to prove them wrong," referring to Fox News' decision to project Biden the winner in Arizona. More than a month after the 2020 election, Fox News' D.C. managing editor wrote in a private message to a colleague he feared that the network's coverage of Trump's election fraud claims were becoming an existential crisis for the company. Murdoch conceded in an email to Fox News CEO Suzanne Scott in January 2021 that some of Fox's top talent went too far in their coverage. During his deposition, Murdoch asked, "Do you believe that Dominion was engaged in a massive and coordinated effort to steal the 2020 presidential election?" Murdoch replied, "No."
Dominion has made an effort to show that Rupert Murdoch was hands-on. That is, that he was aware of what people were saying on his air, that he had the ability to stop these guests from appearing and repeating these things that he apparently testified he's never believed to be true.
Both sides of this case have asked a judge to resolve this matter in their favor without going to trial. There's also a slim chance this could settle, but if none of that happens, this will go to trial in Delaware next month, and this will truly be a landmark case. Absolutely one to watch.
Yeah, certainly. Paula Reed, thank you.
Let's bring in now CNN's media analyst and Axios media reporter, Sarah Fisher. Sarah, good morning to you. Listen, these text messages are between Tucker Carlson and what he wrote about Trump is amazing. I'm just going to read the entire text message because I think it's important, and I don't want to dumb it down here. It says, "We are very, very close to being able to ignore Trump most nights. I truly can't wait. I hate him passionately. I blew up at Peter Navarro today in frustration. I actually like Peter, but I can't handle much more of this. That's the last 4 years. We are pretending that we've got a lot to show for it because admitting what a disaster it's been too tough to digest. But come on, there isn't really any upside to Trump." That's pretty harsh.
It's very harsh.
That's not what he's saying on the air.
It's definitely not. And that's the point that lawyer was just making. What Dominion is trying to prove is that Fox News hosts knowingly put stuff on the air that they didn't actually believe. And this comes to show that not only did Tucker Carlson not believe Trump, he didn't believe the election lies, but that he's in real time venting about it and frustrated about it, but then can completely pivot on air. It's actually a very strong case for Dominion. And I thought the other piece of news that was brought out last night that was brought up in the clip that is a very strong case for them was Rupert Murdoch conceding no. Dominion did not, to his knowledge, mislead the public about the election. That is a direct piece of proof point for Dominion.
What does it say about Fox overall? Because, you know, a lot of this concern and what was being said publicly was the fact that they were worried about losing viewers after the election. And you know Republicans in Washington as well as I do, there is a deep mistrust at times of them. And to see a lot of Republicans coming out yesterday being so openly critical of some of the hosts that before they would never criticize was remarkable.
Totally remarkable. You know, I'm kind of confused about this, you know, big fear around losing viewers. Fox, of all the three major cable news networks, CNN, MSNBC, and Fox, has always had high ratings. And so I don't think that they needed to pander to election lies to be able to manage their business. I think that they went completely off the wall there. But I also think, to your point about Republicans, they do need to book them. They want to get them on their air. They want to get interviews with them. They want to be able to build them as exclusives. And that's not just the far-right Republicans, but it's also House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. It's also Senator Mitch McConnell. And so they have an incentive.
Very critical yesterday.
Very critical yesterday of the decision by Tucker Carlson to continue to sort of release misleading footage from those January 6 tapes that McCarthy gave him. I think that Fox is in a very precarious position, though. The one thing I will say, if we take, though, a 30,000-foot view, they're in a precarious position about this lawsuit. But their shareholders have not really come down on them. It's not like Fox's stock is taking a huge beating because of this. At the end of the day, they're going to be frustrated if they lose, you know, $1.6 billion or more to this defamation suit when it could have gone towards sports rights for Fox Sports. Like they just signed Tom Brady for $375 million. But it's not like the shareholders are demanding critical action at this moment.
It's just the idea. I know it's a reality, but that shareholders really are the ones that kind of really have the strongest say in what a news organization puts out there. Is just really sad. Do we have time to listen to? Because I think it was important that you guys mentioned what happened with Republicans yesterday. Can we let's listen to what they said. This was about January 6th and what Tucker Carlson said.
It was a mistake, in my view, for Fox News to depict this in a way that's completely at variance with what our chief law enforcement official here at the Capitol thinks.
To somehow put that in the same category as a, you know, permitted peaceful protest is just a lie.
I think it's bullshit. There were a lot of people in the Capitol at the time who I think were scared for their lives. So you can, you know, however you want to describe it, but it was an attack on the Capitol.
I thought it was an insurrection at that time. I still think it was an insurrection today.
The point is, what happened that day shouldn't have happened.
And shouldn't Fox News be listening to, well, what is right for journalism, that they should report to the viewers exactly what happened, to the lawmakers, but then, as you said, shareholders, you know, that reminder to us. What do you make of that?
I mean, I know for a fact that folks inside Fox think that Trump is something they want to get away from. So I'm surprised that Tucker Carlson is even doubling down on this in this way, because Republicans clearly want to get away from Trump. He caused them the midterm last election, and Fox News clearly wants to get away from Trump. I think they would be wise, to your point, to listen to them. I don't know why they're not.
Well, they have distanced themselves from Trump. I think since he announced his reelect, it's come to great frustration to the Trump campaign.
The lawmakers or Fox, you mean?
Fox.
Yeah, but, you know, pointing January 6th in this light is not distancing yourself from Trump. It's actually the most intense thing you could do to relink yourself to Donald Trump. And so I just can't understand or fathom why they would do it, to your point, if every single one of these Republican lawmakers, both from some of the most extreme ends and some of the more moderate ends, is distancing themselves.
Sarah Fisher, thank you very much. I appreciate that.